In 1997, Final Fantasy VII was released for the Sony PlayStation. I played it in English. Big time. In 2001, I accidentally moved to Japan and learned how to speak and read Japanese. It's been 20 years since Final Fantasy VII came out. I have more than a decade and a half of Japanese speaking experience behind me. So, I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII in Japanese and English at the same time, all the while analyzing the nuanced little differences. Some people say that Final Fantasy VII has a bad English translation because its original release was riddled with confounding, sometimes outright bizarre typos. I say they did a great job. They did probably exactly as well as they could have done. Clearly the translators were under a lot of pressure. This was a big, massive, huge, expensive as heck, super hyped, high-tech game that promised players a Hollywood experience. It had a lot of text, and that text had to fit in some tiny little baby boxes. The English word washing machine, which is 15 letters, is just 3 characters in Japanese, sentaki. It's natural that in the English translation of a game with as many written Japanese words as Final Fantasy VII, you're going to miss a lot of subtext. The first hour of Final Fantasy VII includes a sequence that was originally released on a demo disc, which was included with the Squaresoft game Tobal No. 1. I estimate off the top of my head that 79% of people who played Final Fantasy VII in 1997 had played that demo disc at least 100 times. So, that makes the first hour of this game the perfect section to analyze for a video like whatever this video is. Heck, we could probably get a 10-minute video out of the Japanese grammar nuances behind the first individual lines of dialogue the main characters speak. So, let's obsess over the first lines of dialogue. The very first line of dialogue in the game is, "Come on, newcomer, follow me." Barrett says this to Cloud as they get off a train en route to blow up the evil Shinra Corporation's power reactor. In Japanese, Barrett calls Cloud Shin-iri, which is the 2 kanji for new and recruit. Cloud is an experienced mercenary, as later dialogue will illustrate, and he has been recruited for his expertise. The translation wisely avoids calling him rookie, though maybe newcomer is a bit weird. First day on the job is, in my estimation, the most common fictional story trope for a long story. Think of how many of your favorite films or TV shows begin with someone starting a new job. I think newcomer is a little bit weird. It sounds like Cloud just showed up at church or a baby shower. So I think maybe the phrase new guy is more fitting. Come on, new guy, follow me. Barrett doesn't completely trust Cloud, hence his insistence on calling him the new guy during the mission. So newcomer sounds a little too chummy. The very first action most players execute voluntarily in Final Fantasy VII is the looting of a corpse. Playing any Japanese RPG means navigating a lot of menus and reading a lot of item descriptions. In fact, maybe you spend more time reading menus than you spend reading the story parts. There's plenty of Japanese grammar nuances in these menus as well. So, Barrett runs off and Cloud approaches the unconscious or dead body of a train station guard. If we press the action button near this maybe corpse, we get a potion. The English dialog box says, "Received potion." Note the exclamation point outside the quotes. I love it. This translation is perfectly okay. However, received makes it sound like someone handed it to you. A dead body probably doesn't hand anything to anybody. The message is meant to be reused multiple times throughout the game whenever the player finds an item, whether the player is finding, buying, or receiving that item. The verb got fits all of those categories, so maybe got a potion is better. In Japanese, they use the verb te ni ireta for all item acquisitions in every RPG I can ever remember playing in Japanese. Final Fantasy VII is no different. Potion wo te ni ireta. Way too literally, that's you put a potion into your hand, which means just you got a potion. This is the sort of etymology that the Japanese language is full of. So that gets us through the first screen of the game, so let's move forward a scene. Here's the scene where Cloud introduces himself. So a character asks Cloud his name. The player inputs Cloud's name, and the character says, "Nice to meet you, and Cloud just cuts the guy right off. "I don't care what your names are. Once this job's over, I'm out of here," Cloud says. So this is the first sentence we hear Cloud speak. It is iconic. This is the first we learn of his personality. It's our first impression of him. And yeah, we all played this demo disc like 100 times, so we all got this impression about 100 times. So let's obsess over the original Japanese text a little bit. So he's not quite as terse or snippy as he is in English in Japanese. In fact, he even has something of a sense of humor. So what he says is, "Anta tachi no namae nante kyoumi nai ne. Douse kono shigoto ga owattara o wakare da." So as I was saying earlier, kanji, Chinese characters, can pack a lot of meaning into a tiny space, and Cloud gives us an easy example here with the word, well, let's just say kyoumi. Kyoumi is these two kanji, and it's just 2 letters long, and it means interest, like to be interested in something. The next 2 letters in hiragana are nai. So nai is kind of an impressive little word. It's a verb ending, whatever you want to call it. So it indicates an absence of something. And it has a ridiculously versatile usage. So here, if you attach it to the word interest, kyoumi nai will mean I have no interest, or I don't care, or whatever, man. So furthermore, Cloud puts a ne on the end of his sentence. Ne is how you end a sentence when you're being cheeky or rhetorical or quirky. So here Cloud is being a little bit cheeky. Even furthermore, Cloud starts this whole sentence with anta tachi. Anta is short for anata, which means you, and anata is the formal you, so anta is considered super informal. Tachi will make anata or anta plural, so anta tachi is kind of like saying you guys, but in an informal way, so it's kind of like he's talking to them like they're children. So we could translate this as you guys, though the way he mixes the informality with a little tiny bit of fanciness later in the sentence indicates more of like a patronizing sort of recklessness. So he's not quite saying you kids, though he's almost there. So possibly you people is what he's saying. So his condescension escalates in the next sentence, which he starts with the word douse. So douse is a versatile sentence starter, and it can mean at any rate or any way or no matter what or either way. So here I feel like it means, you know, that sort of sentence starter. So Cloud's speaking style has this a little bit of a quirky, youthful flavor in Japanese that it sort of lacks in English, at least in this scene. So in his first sentence, we see him mix the super informal pronoun antatachi with the word owakare, which is a fancy-like word for goodbye. So wakare means like parting, goodbye, farewells, and you put o in front of a word to make it fancy. O doesn't make any word fancy, so it's not just for any word. Let's just say that words with o in front of them are fancier than words without o's in front of them. Yeah, this is a bit of a complex layer cake of jerkishness that he is executing here. So here's an ultra-literal translation of what he says in Japanese. So this obviously wouldn't work in the game because it's too long and it wouldn't fit in the text box. It's something like, nah, I have no interest in you people's names. We'll just be saying our goodbyes after this job is over anyway. So yeah, this paints a slightly different picture than the voice the space-restricted English translation gives Cloud. You could probably imagine Duke Nukem saying the lines that Cloud speaks at the beginning of the English version.
I don't care what your names are. Once this job's over, I'm out of here, baby.
So slightly punchier, literal English translation. Dude, don't even bother telling me your names. It's not like we're going to be seeing each other like ever again after this mission is over. So yeah, that's way too long to fit in any text box. So Duke Nukem it is. Well, yeah, I guess we got through the first 2 sentences of the game, and it took us, I guess, about 10 minutes as predicted. So yeah, these tiny little differences we've noticed in just these first 2 sentences will butterfly ripple out into the rest of the script, affecting all the characters, scenes, and events in tiny, weird little ways. So in our next video, which, who knows, maybe this is going to be a 980-part series, we'll get into Cloud's mission and explore a whole bunch of little tiny word nuances that I find fascinating. And I hope you're going to find them fascinating as well. We're going to cover a lot more than 2 sentences next time. Bye.